The world of Veridian was, like many others, governed by the omnipresent system. Every action had a quantifiable outcome, every monster a known XP value, every choice a clear path to progression. Heroes were judged by their levels, their gear, their kill counts. Justice was a matter of lawful or chaotic alignment, easily displayed on a character sheet. Kaelen, a newly minted Tier 1 adventurer in the bustling city of Eldoria, found himself utterly bewildered by this digital reality. He had been a simple village guard, a man who believed in doing the right thing, even when it was hard. His stats were unremarkable, his class generic, Kaelen, adventurer level, 1 HP 100, 100 MP 50-50, STR 10, could swing a basic sword, Dex 10, adequate reflexes, Int 12, common sense, WIS 15, good judge of character, somewhat empathetic. Con 10, average health. Cha 10, friendly enough. He had just completed his first goblin culling quest, a simple task of clearing out a small goblin encampment near Eldoria. The quest log had glowed with a satisfying completed. Message and XP had flowed in, but something felt wrong. He looked at the fallen goblins, their crude weapons scattered. They had screamed not with monstrous rage, but with fear. One small goblin, no bigger than a child, lay whimpering, clutching a crude wooden doll. Kaelen felt a pang, a dissonance with the system's clear-cut directive of cull. System. Alert. Protagonist. Kaelen has registered a moral anomaly. New core class protocol initiated. The moral compass. New core class unlocked. The moral compass. Core ability unlocked. Empathic resonance. Burst 1. Passive skill. Allows host to perceive the emotional state and basic motivations of sentient or quasi-sentient beings within 5 meters, bypassing standard alignment displays. Core ability unlocked. Ethical dilemma, Leader 1. Active skill. When presented, with a morally ambiguous choice, host can sacrifice immediate system rewards, XP gold loot, to gain moral insight, and a chance to unlock ethical pathfinding. Cost, 10% current XP or 50 gold per choice. Core ability unlocked, Conscience's Rebuke, passive. Any act of unjustified cruelty or wanton destruction performed by host will result in a moral integrity debuff, 5% stats for 1 hour, and a temporary reduction in empathic resonance efficiency. Kaelen blinked at the notifications. Moral anomaly? Moral compass? He looked at the whimpering goblin, then at the shiny new iron shortsword the system had just granted him. A choice, it seemed, was already presenting itself. The system, usually so clear, was now offering him an entirely new, undefined path. It was as if it had found a variable it couldn't account for, a truly moral human being, operating not on statistics, but on empathy. He knew what an adventurer was supposed to do. Finish the job, collect the reward. But that small goblin, trembling, clutching its doll, he couldn't. He knelt down, gently nudged the doll free, and with a soft voice tried to soothe the goblin. Protagonist, Kaelen has made an unexpected choice. Ethical dilemma, Lever 1, activated. Sacrifice Stakti. Gold to spare the goblin child? Kaelen didn't hesitate. He might be poor, but he had principles. Yes, gold deducted. Goblin child spared. Moral insight gained. Empathy can create unexpected pathways. Kaelen has gained 100 class experience, CXP. Level up. Kaelen is now level 2. Skill. Empathic resonance has leveled up to level 2. New primary quest unlocked. The Goblin Child's Redemption. Objective. Guide the spared goblin child to a safe haven. Reward unknown. Kaelen stared at the new quest. It was not a typical quest, it was personal. He looked at the goblin who now, instead of running, clung to his leg. He had a new companion, a new purpose, and a new, bewildering path. The goblin child, whom Kaelen tentatively named Pip, was a constant source of both exasperation and unexpected insights. Pip was terrified of most things, but clung to Kaelen with an unwavering trust. Quest: the goblin child's redemption. Objective: guide Pip to a safe haven. Kaelen quickly learned that a safe haven for a goblin was not a human village. Using his empathic resonance, he could feel Pip's terror whenever they approached a human settlement. He needed to find a place where a goblin, even a child, could be accepted. His investigations, guided by Pip's subtle emotional cues, led him away from the usual adventurer routes into the deeper, less explored regions of the Whispering Woods. Here, he encountered not just hostile monsters, but also communities of forest gnomes and reclusive dryads who had long ago learned to coexist with the wilds. His ethical dilemma skill became his most frequently used tool. He constantly faced choices: kill a starving dire wolf, level 5, for its pelt, or use his meager gold to buy meat from a poacher and divert the wolf from the gnome's traps. Kill a group of bandits, level 10, for their loot, or using his empathic resonance, discover they were starving farmers, driven to banditry by a corrupt baron, and find a way to help them without bloodshed. Each time he chose the harder, ethical path, he sacrificed immediate rewards. But he gained something else. Ethical dilemma. Level 1. Activated. Sacrifice 100 XP to help the starving bandits find a new livelihood. 100 XP deducted. Starving bandits guided to new livelihood. Moral insight gained. True justice addresses. Root causes. Kaelen has gained 200 CXP. Level up. Kaelen is now level 5. Skill. Empathic resonance has leveled up to level 3. New core ability unlocked. Ethical pathfinding, level 1. Active skill. When activated, the system subtly highlights non-violent, morally sound solutions to immediate challenges within 20 meters. Cost: 20 MP. Use: 10% success chance. With ethical pathfinding, Kaelen could now actively seek out solutions that weren't immediately obvious. He found a hidden grove of forest gnomes, level 15, who, after Kaelen peacefully returned their stolen mushrooms by refusing the loot from a minor bandit camp, agreed to take Pip in. Quest: the goblin child's redemption. Completed. Quest reward: gnome favor, minor, gained. Pip is now safe. Play 500 XP. Level up. Kaelen is now level 8. Class evolution: the moral compass. Ethical vanguard. New core ability unlocked. Moral persuasion, level 1. Active skill. Host's morally grounded arguments are 10% more likely to succeed in convincing sentient beings. Cost: 30 MP. Use. Kaelen had completed his first truly ethical quest. He had gained XP not by killing, but by understanding and helping. He was still a low-level adventurer, his gear basic, his gold meager. But he had a growing power, an influence, that went beyond mere combat statistics, and a lasting ally in the grateful Pip, who now, as a young goblin in the gnomish community, began to learn carpentry. Kaelen's reputation, whispered through the gnome communities and the reformed bandit camps, began to spread. He was known not as a mighty warrior, but as a fair man, a fixer of injustices. His moral persuasion skill became increasingly effective. His next major challenge came from the very bandits he had helped. Their former oppressor, Baron Volkov, a cruel and avaricious Tier 12 warlord, was increasing taxes, seizing lands, and driving his people to destitution. The Baron was technically lawful evil according to the system, operating within the letter if not the spirit of the law. Primary quest: Baron Volkov's tyranny. Objective: end Baron Volkov's oppressive rule in the Eastern Marches. Reward: significant XP and regional influence. The traditional approach would be a siege, an armed revolt. But Kaelen, the ethical vanguard, knew that would only lead to more bloodshed. He needed to expose the Baron, to appeal to a higher authority within the system, the royal court of Eldoria. He gathered evidence, using his empathic resonance, to understand the suffering of Volkov's people and his ethical pathfinding to uncover the Baron's subtle, but technically legal, exploitations. It was slow, painstaking work, often requiring him to sacrifice XP by helping villagers directly instead of focusing on his quest objective. Ethical Dilemma, Lulvener 2. Activated, sacrifice 200 XP to expose Baron Volkov's illegal gold laundering via the black market. Risk, potential confrontation with Black Market Guild. 200 XP deducted, Baron Volkov's laundering exposed. Moral insight gained, corruption often hides behind legality. Kaelen has gained 500 CXP. Level up, Kaelen is now level 12. Skill, moral persuasion has leveled up to level 3. New core ability unlocked, systemic appeal, Elvir 1, active skill. Allows host to formally petition a higher system authority, e.g. Royal Court Adventurers Guild Council, regarding systemic injustices or violations of general welfare. Cost, 100 MP, high risk of rejection. Kaelen, armed with irrefutable evidence, presented his case before the royal court, filled with powerful knights, Laverne 20+, and influential advisors, Laverne 15+. Baron Volkov, smug in his legalistic defenses, scoffed at the low-level adventurer trying to challenge him. Kaelen used systemic appeal. His arguments, infused with the power of moral persuasion, were not just about legality, but about the spirit of justice, about the suffering of the people. He called upon the ethical insights he had gained, presenting the root causes of Volkov's tyranny. The court was swayed, not by force, but by truth. Baron Volkov was stripped of his titles and sent to a correctional dungeon. Quest: Baron Volkov's tyranny. Completed. Quest reward: Baron Volkov's lands restored to peace. Regional influence: favorable, but 1500 XP. Level up: Kaelen. Is now level 15. Class evolution: Ethical Vanguard. The Conscience of Veridian. New core ability unlocked: Aura of Integrity, Lever 1. Passive skill: Host's presence subtly discourages acts of petty corruption or injustice within 10 meters, causing minor moral doubt debuffs on perpetrators. Kaelen had brought down a tyrant without spilling a drop of blood. He was rapidly becoming something entirely new, a hero whose power stemmed not from combat prowess, but from his unwavering moral code. Kaelen, the Conscience of Veridian, found himself at odds with the powerful Adventurers Guild. They were a rigid, hierarchy-driven organization, their quests focused on efficiency, XP, and loot. His methods were slow, unprofitable, and often, from their perspective, utterly inefficient. Primary quest: Guild's displeasure. Objective: reconcile host's ethical approach with the Adventurers Guild's traditional directives. Reward: guild sanction and new quest line. He was frequently criticized by high-level adventurers like Sir Gareth, a proud Tier 18 paladin, who scoffed at Kaelen's soft approach. You spend your time saving goblins and lecturing barons? Real heroes slay dragons, Kaelen. They don't negotiate with them. Kaelen, however, began to change minds. He used his aura of integrity during guild meetings, subtly encouraging honesty and discouraging manipulation. He used moral persuasion to argue for quests that focused on resolving underlying conflicts, not just brute force solutions. He demonstrated the long-term benefits of his approach: stable regions, reduced monster incursions, because he helped some monster species find new territories and thriving communities that supported adventurers rather than fearing them. His reputation for fairness even reached some of the more neutral monster factions. He was approached by a delegation of kobold miners, Lavere 10 to 15, who had been displaced by a human mining operation. Traditional adventurers would simply kill the kobolds. Kaelen, however, negotiated a solution, using his skills to find a new, mana-rich cave system for the kobolds, and convincing the human miners to compensate them for their displacement. Ethical Dilemma, Love 2. Activated, Sacrifice 300 XP to negotiate a peaceful resolution for the displaced kobolds. 300 XP deducted. Peaceful resolution achieved. Moral insight gained. Coexistence is a viable alternative to conflict. Kaelen has gained 750 CXP. Level up. Kaelen is now level 20. Skill. Aura of Integrity has leveled up to level 3. New core ability unlocked. Alignment Shift, Levier 1, active skill. Allows host to subtly influence the alignment of a sentient being towards a more neutral or benevolent stance. Cost, 150 MP, success chance based on targets existing. Alignment and hosts CHA. Kaelen's success with the kobolds, who now became a friendly, if cautious, presence in the region, forced the Adventurers Guild to reconsider. Sir Gareth, after witnessing Kaelen resolve a potentially bloody confrontation with a griffin flock by realizing they were just protecting their young, not attacking out of malice, began to waver. Alignment Shift, Lever 1, activated. Target. Sir Gareth, Paladin. Attempting to shift lawful good, neutral good, more flexible, less rigid. MP, 150. Success! Sir Gareth's alignment has shifted to neutral good. His rigid adherence to rules has softened, allowing for more empathetic solutions. Sir Gareth, suddenly finding himself questioning years of ingrained dogma, grudgingly endorsed Kaelen's methods. The guild for the first time began to issue quests for negotiation, for relocation, for conflict resolution, not just for culling. Quest, Guild's Displeasure, completed. Quest reward, Adventurers Guild, now officially recognizes ethical quests. POW 2000 XP. Level up. Kaelen is now level 25. Class evolution, the conscience of Veridian, Veridian's moral heart. New core ability unlocked. Systemic empathy, Levier 1. Passive skill. Host's choices subtly influence the system itself, creating more morally nuanced quest options and outcomes. Kaelen had fundamentally reshaped how heroism was defined in Veridian. He was the moral heart, beating a new rhythm of justice and compassion into the system. Kaelen's influence grew, but so did the challenges. He discovered a hidden truth about Veridian. Its benevolent system core was slowly being corrupted by a powerful, insidious entity known as the Soul Harvester, a creature that fed on despair and moral compromise. This was the source of many of the darker, crueler quests that had always been present in the world. Primary quest, the Soul Harvester's corruption. Objective, discover the Soul Harvester's nature and purify its influence on the system. Core, reward, Veridian system, purified. The Soul Harvester, a Tier 20 psionic entity, had been slowly twisting the system, creating quests that encouraged players to make morally dubious choices, feeding on the negative energy generated by such acts. It was a meta-threat, a corruption not of the world but of the very rules of the game. Kaelen, using his systemic empathy, could now sense the subtle influences of the Harvester within the quest logs themselves. He could feel the pressure to choose the easy, violent path, the path that fed the Harvester. He was joined by an unexpected ally. Skitter, the former rogue, now ethical scout, after a series of Kaelen's alignment shifts and moral persuasions, who provided invaluable stealth and information gathering. And Pip, the goblin child, now a skilled gnome-trained carpenter, Lever's 20, who used his unique perspective to help Kaelen navigate dangerous monster territories, building bridges and temporary shelters. Their quest led them into the deepest, darkest dungeons, places where adventurers were routinely forced to make brutal choices. They encountered ancient guardians, corrupted by the Harvester's influence, whose despair and rage were almost overwhelming. Ethical dilemma, Lovier's 3, activated. Sacrifice, 500 XP, to cleanse the despair from the ancient guardian of sorrows. Love 40 instead of slaying it? Risk, guardian might still attack. Kaelen didn't hesitate. He poured his own conviction, his MP, and his precious XP into the choice. He activated empathic resonance to understand the guardian's pain, moral persuasion, to appeal to its forgotten sense of duty, and ethical pathfinding to locate the hidden source of its despair. 100 XP deducted. Ancient Guardian of Sorrows. Clean said. Moral insight gained. Even deep despair can be healed. Kaelen has gained 1500 CXP. Level up. Kaelen is now level 30. Skill. Systemic Empathy has leveled up to level 3. New core ability unlocked. Conscience's Light. Leave EG1. Active skill. Projects a powerful aura of moral clarity, temporarily, nullifying fear and despair effects in allies and causing moral confusion in enemies corrupted by the Soul Harvester. Cost, 200 MP, cooldown, 1 hour. The Guardian cleansed did not attack. Instead, it became a silent, powerful ally, opening a path to the system core where the Soul Harvester resided. Kaelen, Skitter, Pip, and the Ancient Guardian stood before the system core, a vast shimmering nexus of light and energy. Enveloping it was the Soul Harvester, Tier 20 psionic entity, a formless, swirling vortex of shadow and despair, actively siphoning energy from the core. The Harvester tried to break Kaelen. It sent waves of psychic attacks, projecting visions of all the brutal choices he had avoided, all the XP he had sacrificed, all the opportunities for power he had forgone. It whispered temptations of absolute power, of a system perfectly tailored to his moral code if only he would embrace its darkness. Soul Harvester's psionic attack. Kaelen is under assault. Will you compromise your integrity for ultimate power? And Kaelen, under immense mental pressure, stood firm. His aura of integrity flared, protecting his allies. He activated Conscience's Light, pushing back against the darkness, causing the Harvester to writhe in agony. No, Kaelen stated, his voice ringing with conviction. I will not. Power gained through compromise is no power at all. He used his ultimate skill, one that had quietly evolved with his class. Class evolution, Veridian's moral heart. The systemic conscience. Maxed level 35. New ultimate core ability, unwavering conviction, active ultimate. For 30 seconds, host's moral stance becomes an immutable system law within 50 meters, nullifying all morally corrupting effects and forcing any sentient entity to confront their own moral choices. Cost, all MP, cooldown, 1 week. Kaelen activated unwavering conviction. A blinding light erupted from him, pushing back the Harvester's darkness. The system core pulsed, now in resonance with Kaelen's pure moral energy. The Harvester shrieked. It couldn't feed on integrity. It couldn't corrupt an unwavering mind. Its very existence was anathema to Kaelen's ultimate skill. The swirling darkness began to unravel, to dissipate, as the system core, purged of its corruption, shone brighter than ever. Soul Harvester defeated. System core purified. Primary quest. The Soul Harvester's corruption. Completed. Quest. Reward. Veridian system purified. Plus earn 10,000 XP. Level up. Kaelen is now level 35, maxed. Global effect. Systemic ethical reform. All future quests generated by the Veridian system will prioritize morally sound solutions, and unjustified cruelty will incur moral integrity penalties for all adventurers. Kaelen, drained but triumphant, had not just defeated a monster, he had purified the very system of his world. Kaelen, the systemic conscience, became a legend. Not a legend of might, but of righteousness. Veridian, under his subtle influence, began to change. Adventurers found their quests subtly pushing them towards ethical choices. Old, corrupt quests simply vanished, replaced by challenges that required ingenuity, empathy, and diplomacy. His companions, Skitter and Pip, became his closest advisors. Skitter, the former thief, now used his cunning for good, uncovering injustices. Pip, the goblin carpenter, built thriving, peaceful communities where different species coexisted. Even Sir Gareth the Paladin became a vocal advocate for Kaelen's ethical quests. Kaelen's ultimate ability, unwavering conviction, was rarely needed after the Harvester's defeat, but its passive presence ensured that no new corruption could take root within the system. His maxed-out skills reflected his unique journey. Empathic resonance, Levere Max, could understand the deepest motivations and pain of any sentient being. Ethical dilemma, Levere Max. All ethical choices led to optimal long-term gains. Conscience's rebuke, passive. Now a powerful deterrent. Acts of cruelty against sentient beings within Kaelen's influence caused severe moral integrity debuffs and even systemic remorse quests for perpetrators. Ethical pathfinding, Love Max. Always highlighted the most morally sound and effective solution. Moral persuasion, Levar's Max. Near 100% success chance for morally grounded arguments. Systemic appeal, Levar's Max. Could petition any system authority, even other connected world systems, with high success. Aura of integrity, Love Max. Nullified all forms of petty corruption and manipulation within its radius. Alignment shift, Love Max. Could reliably shift the alignment of any sentient being towards benevolence. Systemic empathy, Love Max. Kaelen's moral choices now guided the fundamental parameters of the Veridian system itself. Unwavering conviction, ultimate. His moral stance became an unbreakable law. Kaelen established the Order of the Moral Compass, a new type of adventurers' guild focused on ethical progression, conflict resolution, and systemic purification. Their motto was simple: do what is right, not what is easy. He proved that true power was not measured in levels or loot, but in the integrity of one's choices. He taught Veridian that the system was not just a game. It was a tool, a framework that could be shaped by the moral will of its players. Kaelen lived a long, impactful life, seeing Veridian transformed from a world of brutal efficiency into a beacon of ethical balance. He watched as future generations of adventurers, inspired by his legacy, actively sought out quests that healed, not harmed, that built, not destroyed. His journey was a testament to the power of a single individual's moral conviction to reshape an entire system. He showed that empathy, compassion, and unwavering integrity were not weaknesses, but the ultimate strength. The system of Veridian, once prone to corruption, now thrived, generating quests that challenged heroes not just in combat, but in their deepest ethical beliefs. The world became a richer, more complex, and ultimately, a more just place. Kaelen, the former village guard, who had stumbled into heroism not by choice but by conscience, remained the systemic conscience, a living embodiment of the truth. That even in a world governed by algorithms and statistics, the most powerful force of all was the human or sentient heart. And his compass, once just a feeling, now guided an entire world towards a brighter, more ethical future. His story became a new kind of legend, whispered across Veridian, the tale of the hero who conquered not with a sword, but with an unwavering moral compass.